there are many different tests, exams that you can take to figure out what your English proficiency level is, how good you are at English. And they have varying degrees of accuracy. Some are very accurate, some are a little less accurate. Perhaps the most accurate, in my opinion, is the IELTS test. And the reason for that is there's a human being talking to you for the speaking part, and they're trained to give you a score. They have a very, very in-depth, long training process that they go through to make sure they're giving you an accurate score. Now, there are other ways. There's the TOEFL test. There are many. I want to talk about one that I took recently, which is a test you can take online. I took it myself, and which I feel is pretty accurate, actually, based on my research and my own experience. I actually took the test. It's called the Versant test. Now, this is one that you take online, which focuses mostly on your spoken skills and your listening skills, but also has reading and writing skills, comprehension. I like it because it emphasizes those things and isn't just a test about what you know. It doesn't test only what you know. Actually, it's not really a knowledge test. It's a test of skill. How well do you understand things? How well can you put your ideas down in writing? How well can you express yourself? How well can you make clear sentences, pronounce words in a string, in a sentence, in a whole sentence? How well do they flow together? These things. The Versant test, I think, does a pretty good job. Now, it is an automated test, so the score you're getting is automated. So it might not be quite as accurate as IELTS, but from my research, it's pretty close. It is pretty close. And in the experience of taking the test is not like oh, I'm rushed, I don't know what to do. It feels pretty conversational. So I like it for that reason. So what I'd like to do is share with you my experience of taking the Versant test. My experience of taking the Versant test. Now, the parts of this test are speaking and listening. And we'll just read this here. Speaking reflects the ability to produce English phrases and clauses in complete sentences. The score is based on the ability to produce consonants, vowels, and stress in a native-like manner. Use accurate syntax. Use words appropriately in context and appropriate rhythm, phrasing, and timing. And then for listening, listening reflects the ability to understand specific details and main ideas from everyday English speech. The score is based on the ability to track meaning and infer the message from English that is spoken at a conversational pace. So it really does feel like a conversational pace, and they really challenge you. For example, they might do something like, you get one sentence, you have to listen to it and repeat it. So, what are you going to do tomorrow? You hear that one time, and you have to say back exactly what you heard. What are you going to do tomorrow? One sentence, it's very short, but it forces you to comprehend, not just repeat. So it's pretty cool. And there are a lot of other different exercises. The whole thing takes 50 minutes, and although there are these main 4 categories, there are many different aspects to that, right? Many different pieces. The other one then, the other part to this, the writing part and the reading part. For the writing reflects the ability to produce written English texts on everyday topics. The score is based on the ability to present ideas and information, in a clear and logical sequence. Use a wide range of appropriate words as well as a variety of sentence structures. For reading reflects the ability to understand written English texts on everyday topics. The score is based on the ability to operate at functional speeds to extract meaning, infer the message, and respond appropriately. Now, I took this test for a different reason, which we don't need to go into so much. But I thought since I took the test, I would share my thoughts on it. The experience of taking the test doesn't feel to me too rushed in the way that I feel the TOEFL test sometimes does. It feels pretty conversational, and I think the flow is quite good. It also tests a wide range of things. It's not just one skill, right? So it's a good experience. Things flow very well, and the 50 minutes goes by pretty quickly. Now, my goal was to see if I could influence the results, because I thought, if I just do my best on the whole thing, what if I do my best and it gives me full marks or very high marks, a very high score, but then that's just because I used a lot of words or something like that, or it just sounds fluent. I wanted to sort of test the robot, right? So what I did was I tried deliberately to do well on basically as good as I could do, to take it very seriously on the speaking part and the listening part. And then on the reading part and the writing part, I didn't pay attention very well. I wasn't really listening. I was kind of half doing things. I wasn't careful. I made mistakes on purpose. Sometimes I answered something completely different just because I wanted to see, okay, the final results should show that I scored lower on writing and reading and higher on speaking and listening. So that was my way to kind of test the accuracy. And I know that's not perfect. I just wanted to see if I could influence the results in that way, because I knew if I got the same scores across the board, then something was up with this test, not very accurate, right? Maybe not a great exam, because I didn't really try that hard for the reading part and the writing part. So we'll look at the scores in just a second. But just to give you the basic idea, it's about right. I think it's about right. I expected my reading score to be a little lower than my writing score, but my writing score was actually a little lower than my reading score. But both, you'll see. I'll show you in a second. Now, we do need to just quickly talk about the general framework. This is the CEFR. This is the Common European Framework of Reference. I'm sure you've seen A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. I'm sure you've seen things like this before. A lot of English programs use that. This is to give you a general sense of your English ability. If you're A1, you're very low level. If you're C2, you're considered native. C1, C2, basically high-level English, okay? So I would expect that if I tried hard, I would get a C1 or a C2 on the speaking part, on the listening part, but maybe not on the writing part or the reading part, okay? So that was my expectation, and now I'm going to show you my results. Are you ready? Here are my results to the Versant test. First, for the writing, I'm on B2. Remember, B2. So independent, I'm not quite proficient, which is what I was actually expecting it to be around a 70, but it's pretty close. Candidate writes clear, connected texts on a variety of subjects using a sufficient range of grammatical structures and a good range of common English words. Then they give me some tips. Practice writing detailed descriptions. Practice giving advice that you would give to a friend. So I think it's cool that they give you your score, your breakdown, and they also then give you a few recommendations, things that are connected to that might help you. I think it could be a little more detailed, but it's pretty good. Then 76 for reading. Actually, I thought that I should have got a lower score for reading. I thought that my reading should be maybe a 70 or even lower. Because the reason is that I sometimes, on the reading part, I answered completely differently. I used the wrong names. I gave single sentence answers when I was supposed to say more. So I tried to make it a little lower, but it turned out to be a 76. So okay. That tells me that's pretty accurate. I was deliberately trying to make these two lower, and they're lower. Okay. Now what about the other part? What about my other scores? Speaking, 88 out of 90. Not a perfect score, but pretty close. That's CEFR C2, right? So remember C2, that's proficient, which you would hope, right? Because I'm an English teacher, you would hope. I was actually trying for these two. Candidate consistently produces accurate and meaningful complex sentences. Candidate speaks with native-like rhythm, phrasing, and overall timing, and clearly produces vowels and consonants. Okay, they do give me some tips to improve, but that's about as high as it goes. On the 90 scale, the Versen is 80 out of 80. So full score on the Versen scale for the GSE is 88 out of 90. They try to give you different scores according to different scoring systems. And then listening, 86 out of 90. Candidate understands discussion and speech spoken at a range of conversational speeds on unfamiliar and abstract topics. And then some recommendations there. Versen score, 79 out of 80. GSE, 86 out of 90. And CFR also C2. So when I was trying my best, I'm at a C2. And when I'm not trying very hard, I'm at a B2. And so what do you get from that? What I get from that is this maps on pretty well to my actual expectation, what I was trying to do. And so I think it can be a good way to evaluate generally your level, because they ask you so many questions. There are so many different things that you do. So I would recommend it. You can sign up for it by yourself. It's not free, but good things usually are not free, right? Often things cost money, but if you really want to know what your level is and you don't want to sign up for an IELTS test and pay a huge amount of money, you want something that's fairly affordable and pretty accurate, Versen seems like a pretty good option to me. Now let me show you my final scores here. Overall, candidate speaks and understands at native speaker speeds with minimal effort. Okay? So overall GSE score is 80. My CFR score is C1 because the other scores dropped it down. You can see 88, 86, 64, 76. This is my breakdown on the CEFR scale and the GSE scale. So if this helps you, if this gives you some idea about the accuracy, then consider it. I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying you should take it, but if you want to take a test that's reasonably priced and is pretty accurate based on my experience and my research. By the way, I did some side research. It seems to be pretty accurate. Might be worth checking out. Then you can test yourself in a year after you practice speaking and writing and reading. Test yourself in a year again and see how much you've improved. It can be a great way to motivate yourself, to push yourself to do more, to push yourself to study. Ooh, I'm going to take another one. I want to make sure I get a higher score next time. So, pretty cool. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. Very important. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Follow the channel, subscribe, and check out my full courses. They are on sale in the link in the description.